the marquee of Paria's residence. Birds are singing. Soft sunlight filtered through the curtains. A perfect morning. Eugenia woke from a restful sleep. She felt completely refreshed, as if everything would go smoothly. This was that morning, before she heard those words. Eugenia's husband, Euclid, Duke Ludian, sitting across from her, he said, "My lady, I request a divorce." The two sat facing each other in a magnificent room. The atmosphere froze. Eugenia's lips moved slightly. "What did you say?" Euclid avoided her eyes. "I want a divorce." Eugenia picked up her teacup and let out a long breath. She set the cup down with a sharp clink. "Avo's done something stupid again." Euclid looked terrified. Eugenia pressed a hand to her forehead. "Are you serious? You really want a divorce?" "For the record, I'm not the sort of person who thinks only honesty is a virtue. I'm even lenient with white lies. So keep that in mind before you answer me." Euclid averted his gaze. "Yes, I'm serious. I even prepared the papers." He pushed a document across the table. Eugenia's pupils contracted. Divorce papers, and he had already signed them. The handwriting was unmistakably his. What exactly is the problem? I tried so hard to make him happy, and now he suddenly wants a divorce. Euclid looked at her expressionlessly. "Please take your time reading it, my lady." Eugenia tore the document in half. She threw it onto the floor. Then she turned and walked toward the door without hesitation. Euclid shot to his feet, his chair scraping backward. "Wait, my lady." Eugenia shut the door. Usually, Euclid's shock would have unsettled me, but not today. She clenched her teeth. "I transmigrated into this novel. Was it really all for a divorce?" My grandmother had once been a fortune teller. She said that when I was still a baby, I was destined to marry a man whose name carried a silver spoon. My father didn't believe it at first. "You think this child brings some kind of fortune?" "I rose because I'm capable." But after I was born, he became a millionaire. He even built a business empire. And then he grew arrogant. My mother grew tired of him and eventually ran away from home with me. Not long after we left, my father's company began to collapse. The work of his entire life crumbled in an instant, and he sank into debt. He came rushing to find us. "Daughter, I was wrong. I'll change right now. Please come home." I didn't like him, but his constant visits irritated us so much that in the end, we returned. As soon as we came back, the business miraculously recovered. In less than a month, all the debts were paid off. Even the relatives who had once looked down on us started trying to flatter us. But the peace didn't last long. My parents and grandmother died in an accident. To avoid my greedy relatives, I began planning an investment company. That was when I realized my grandmother's words were true. I really did have a gift for attracting money. Every investment I touched succeeded. Money kept pouring in, but no matter how much I earned, I was never satisfied. In the end, all I had left beside me was money. I lost faith in human relationships. What comforted my lonely heart was a novel I stumbled upon by chance. The Dangerous Choice of a Mistress. I rolled around on my bed in my pajamas. In the real world, there wasn't a single trustworthy man. Euclid, You're My Future. It was a reverse harem novel. The crown prince, the high priest, and a magician all competed for the heroine, Melissa. And among them, my one true love, Euclid Ludian, was the head of the ducal Ludian family. The problem was, he was neither the male lead nor the second male lead. He was more like a pitiful background character. I was good at stock investments, but I failed at character investment. Why? They couldn't see his gentle charm. He shone like a flower. My favorite character didn't even have a single illustration. I frantically typed on my phone, "Author, I'll pay you. Please write a route with Euclid in it. I'm begging you. Just name your price." Suddenly, a message notification popped up. I had sent it less than a minute ago, and there was already a reply. "I'm just an ordinary office worker." This had to be a rejection email telling me to stop being annoying. But the moment I opened the email, a brilliant flash exploded before my eyes. All my strength left me. When I opened my eyes again, did I die? Where is this? I had never seen this place before. She got out of bed, but now I was here. What happened? She looked into the mirror. Why is my face? Her pupils widened in terror. Silky black hair, purple eyes, and the face of a wicked villainess. This was the villainess from The Dangerous Choice of a Mistress. Eugenia Bassler, the woman who, after being divorced, chased after the crown prince. No way. Did I possess her body? There were still bandages wrapped around my head. Let me sort this out. I got a reply from the author. Then there was a flash of light, "Don't tell me," and entered carrying a tray of tea. "My lady, I'm coming in." Eugenia turned her head. "What?" and saw that Eugenia was awake and cried out in delight. "My lady, you're awake." Eugenia looked at her blankly. "Who are you?" And smile froze on her face. "You don't recognize me, my lady? Aimane. Eugenia looked at her in confusion. My personal maid. Something that only happened in novels had really happened to me. A wave of dizziness hit her and hurriedly supported her. My lady, you haven't fully recovered. Please don't push yourself. Eugenia's eyes flew wide. Wait, if that's true, I don't know why I possessed her, but one thing is certain. This is the world of the dangerous choice of a mistress, and I became the villainess, Eugenia. She clasped her hands together. Her eyes sparkled. Doesn't this mean I can marry my beloved Euclid? Euclid Lydian. He had brilliant golden hair like pure gold and sunlit golden eyes. The refined and gentle head of the ducal Lydian house. In the book The Dangerous Choice of a Mistress, he barely had any presence. But to me, he was my favorite character. I actually possessed Eugenia, the woman who would become Euclid's wife. Though in the original story, we end up divorced. Wait. That's just the original plot. Now that I've become Eugenia, can I change the course of the story? I spent my life running back and forth between yoga and work. Now I've hit the jackpot. I'm graduating from that endless cycle. This is the perfect chance to marry my favorite character. The one thing I long for most, to witness a story where Euclid becomes the main character. Eugenia, calm down. The first thing to do is figure out what point in the story this is. Maid and looked at her worriedly. My lady. Eugenia lowered her hands. How'd I get hurt? And looked troubled. Oh dear, don't you remember? His Highness the Crown Prince proposed to Lady Melissa. Eugenia, search your memory. So this was the part where the Crown Prince proposed to the heroine, Melissa. Thank goodness, the story has only just begun. Wait, if that's the case, she spoke carefully and nodded. Yes. My lady, when you heard the news, you got so angry that you rammed your head into the wall in the Duke's study. Eugenia abruptly raised a hand and covered Anne's mouth. Stop. I knew the original Eugenia would throw fits whenever things didn't go her way, but she actually self-harmed in the Duke's study? I thought at worst she'd go on a hunger strike or have a tantrum. Looking at it this way, she was unbelievably reckless. Eugenia's eyes sharpened. If that kind of personality made the Crown Prince hate me and let me marry Euclid, then I don't care. She suddenly stood. Anne, I have to see the Duke. She grabbed the doorknob, ready to open it. I can't change her personality, but I can control what she says. I have to see the Duke right away and tell him I'm no longer obsessed with the Crown Prince, and cried out in panic. My lady, please wait. Outside the door, 2 guards crossed their spears and blocked the way. The air instantly turned cold. Eugenia's pupils contracted. She covered her face with both hands and collapsed to the floor, and rushed forward to help her. The captain of the guards announced expressionlessly, Lady Eugenia, you are not permitted to leave, and shouted at the guards, How dare you point blades at the lady? Have you lost your minds? Move those things away at once. Eugenia trembled all over. Acmophobia. In my past life, in this one, my fear of sharp objects had never changed. Judging by Anne's reaction, did the original Eugenia have the same fear? The novel never mentioned it. But that didn't matter. This meant I was under house arrest now, and lowered her head, guilt thick in her voice. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you sooner. The truth is, after you collapsed, the Duke ordered you confined to your room. Eugenia regained her composure. It's fine. I happen to have something to say to Father. Could you inform him for me? And looked baffled. What? You mean His Grace the Duke? Eugenia's expression remained calm. In the novel, Eugenia never called him father. She nodded. Yes, I mean Duke Bachelor. His own daughter smashed her head into a wall and fainted, yet he didn't even show his face once, and quickly explained, It's a misunderstanding, my lady. At the time, His Grace was very shocked, but right now he had urgent business and went out. He said there was a matter with a merchant guild, and he hurried north together with Duke Shaw. A flicker crossed Eugenia's eyes. Going north at a time like this? He's definitely using guild business as an excuse to scout out a new son-in-law. He's going to meet my favorite character there, and suddenly remembered something. Are you worried about the person in the basement? Eugenia's eyes sharpened. The person in the basement? And explained carefully. You ordered us to feed him only when you gave the command yourself. So I thought you must be worried that while you were unconscious, he might have been left without food. A pink-haired man, imprisoned in the basement. He leaned weakly against a cold stone wall, and his voice dropped lower. Don't worry. I saw Lady Melissa secretly enter the annex yesterday. She seemed to be taking care of him, just as you had previously instructed. I pretended not to see. Eugenia felt like she'd been struck by lightning. I completely forgot. At this point in the story, he was still imprisoned in the basement. She snapped back to herself and immediately ordered, "And there's no time. Give me a rope." Eugenia tied one end of the rope to the balcony railing and threw the other end down below, and tightly grabbed her hand, worry written all over her face. "Are you really going to be all right, my lady? Are you truly going there yourself?" Eugenia reassured her. "Don't worry, I'll be back soon." She slid down along the wall and landed safely on the ground and leaned out from the balcony, calling anxiously, "Be careful, my lady." The night wind was cool. Eugenia pulled her thin nightrobe tighter around herself. Moonlight spilled over the courtyard fountain, the water softly murmuring. A lone lantern swayed in the distance. She looked up. So this is the annex. The guards would soon begin their rounds. This was the perfect moment. She hid behind a large tree. The door creaked open. Eugenia's heart pounded wildly. Don't tell me he's already escaped. Her eyes narrowed. That person wasn't him. It was Melissa, in a dangerous choice of a mistress. Melissa was the heroine. After entering Duke Basler's estate, she accidentally discovered Richard imprisoned in the annex. Shocked by his miserable condition, Melissa slipped past Eugenia's watch and secretly brought him food and medicine. Eugenia muttered to herself, "Honestly, if I had transmigrated a little earlier, I wouldn't have brought him back from the illegal slave market, and he would never have met Melissa." She pushed open the door and walked past rows of cells. Her footsteps stopped in front of one of them. She looked inside through the iron bars. Thank goodness. Richard was chained in the corner. He hadn't escaped yet. This was one of the male leads in The Dangerous Choice of a Mistress. The male leads in the novel were all dangerous in their own ways, but Richard was the most dangerous of them all. He came from the slums and was imprisoned and tormented under Eugenia's tyranny. After meeting Melissa, it was the first time he had ever felt warmth and care. It was also the first time he understood what love was. Later, Richard escaped from her clutches and became the ruler of the underworld. He developed a deep obsession with Eugenia, a twisted obsession. To imprison her, he did not hesitate to lock her up. Melissa liked gentlemen, so naturally she didn't choose Richard. I don't like him either, but no wonder he was so popular. In person, he's even better looking than in the illustrations. Richard stood up. "I heard you were sick." He gripped the bars with both hands. "They said you fainted and haven't come for days." Eugenia looked puzzled. "He doesn't look like he wants to kill me. He looks more like he's worried about me." It felt as if I were standing in front of my most terrifying enemy. Richard's eyes were still unharmed. That's right. That was why he was imprisoned. The Crown Prince rejected Eugenia and proposed to Melissa instead. Eugenia wanted to gouge out Richard's red eyes because they looked exactly like the Crown Prince's. Eugenia thought, maybe they're just a little red around the rims. Fine, but before anything happens, I need to let Richard out first. Is that mark on the back of his hand the slave brand? Eugenia reached out. Come to think of it, the only thing he hasn't lost yet is his eyes. From a moment he was dragged in here. Did he already begin to hate me? If so, if I free him now, will he kill me? She clenched her fists. Don't panic. I have the magic tools I got from Anne. If I don't release him now, I'll be doomed if I run into him later. Richard spoke. What are you doing? Eugenia opened the door. Come out. She tossed him a key. Use this to unlock the chains. Richard lowered his head in silence. He picked up the key and unlocked his shackles. Eugenia glanced around. While he's doing that, I need to find his things. She opened a wooden chest. Found them. She handed the clothes to Richard. Put these on. These things will be returned to you in time. Richard changed into the clothes and accepted the money pouch. Eugenia looked at him. You're free now. You don't need to stay in a place like this anymore. Go. Richard only stood there without moving. Eugenia looked at him in confusion. He doesn't look too good. Is he angry? Or does he want an apology? She lowered her head slightly. I am sorry. Richard remained silent, only looking at her. Eugenia gave a small, awkward laugh. I know it sounds suspicious and ridiculous when I say it like this, but I really am sorry for locking you up and letting you get hurt. Richard's pupils suddenly contracted. Eugenia looked at the money pouch in his hand. There's enough gold and jewelry in there for you to settle down anywhere. You're free now. She thought, that should be enough to make amends, right? I should probably give him some medicine too. Her thoughts returned to the novel. In the original story, the slave brand would disappear on its own, but I still feel terribly guilty. Richard's voice trembled. What? Do I really have to leave? He raised a tear-streaked face. Please let me stay. Then he dropped to his knees. Eugenia panicked. He's 4 years younger than me. He's still a child. He's lived only as a slave. To suddenly gain freedom feels less like liberation and more like fear. Fear strong enough to make him feel abandoned. But he can't stay here. Richard knelt with his head at Eugenia's feet. Are you abandoning me because I didn't call you master? He stretched out a trembling hand. I am sorry. Please don't abandon me. Eugenia's face remained expressionless, but her thoughts were in chaos. This is the first time anyone has ever treated me like this. Seeing no response from her, Richard cried for a long time before finally realizing she would not change her mind. He stood up, looking desolate, and left the dungeon alone. His figure disappeared down the wooded path. Eugenia sighed. I was the one who locked him up, and I was the one who released him. Why do I feel guilty? He looked like an abandoned puppy. I'd read this novel so many times, and I never once imagined he'd react like that. Eugenia walked beneath the moonlight. I did the right thing. I can't keep him here out of pity. Even if I didn't free him, Richard would eventually escape on his own and become the head of the Harkoni Guild. Things will follow the original plot. No matter what happens, just stay far away from me and my family. Eugenia pushed open the door. A figure was standing behind it. Her heart skipped. I specifically checked the night's schedules and patrol routes. How could this happen? She cursed inwardly. This is bad. If he finds out, I went to the dungeon. She turned around. Wait, that face. This man, who looked like an imperial knight, was Alexis, the second son of the Basler family. Alexis stepped forward. I heard you were confined to your room. Why are you wandering around here? Father's orders mean nothing to you now. Eugenia forced herself to stay calm. I just wanted some tea. She inwardly groaned. Why did it have to be him? Alexis demanded. I thought you'd be throwing vases and making a scene. Why are you so quiet? They said you went mad and smashed your head into a wall. Did you really lose your mind? A vein twitched at Eugenia's forehead. Her expression darkened. Mind your manners when you speak to your sister. Alexis abruptly leaned in close to Eugenia, staring at her. What are you doing? A flash of confusion crossed Alexis's eyes. You just said you were my sister. Eugenia looked puzzled. Did I say something wrong? Aren't you 2 years younger than me? Alexis questioned her in a low voice. Ridiculous. Didn't you always hate me calling you sister? Since when did you start treating me like your younger brother? Did you really hit your head that hard? Eugenia flinched. Right? I smashed my head and fainted. There's no way I'd be perfectly fine. Alexis said, Geez, you scared me to death. I almost bit my tongue. Eugenia averted her eyes. Please go. If they find out I let you into my room, who knows how I'll be punished. She suddenly raised her voice. Stop pretending to care about me. The two faced off in the hallway. The atmosphere froze. Eugenia, Alexis has gone too far. Why am I not saying anything? Say something already. She fought back a sneeze. Wait, it's coming. Hold it in. Otherwise, my dignity. She turned away and cleared her throat lightly. Don't look at me like I'm some kind of monster. She hurried off. I'm going back to my room. Don't follow me. Alexis watched her back, utterly bewildered. What the hell? Could she actually be hurt? Eugenia covered her face with a handkerchief and let out a loud sneeze. Ashoo. I caught a cold. I should have dressed warmer if this was going to happen. She looked out through the window. What's going on? Everyone's come out. Someone's getting out of carriage. They're all greeting them. Her gaze fell in front of the carriage. It was Melissa, and who was standing beside her? Her eyes widened. It was Alexis. Why is he over there? The more I think about it, the more ridiculous it is. He didn't come to see me even once, so why'd he get angry at me? So annoying. Everything irritates me. Is the Duke giving orders to the servants? I wonder what's so urgent. She turned to look outside again, and was hurrying toward her, and pushed the door open, out of breath. My lady, His Grace the Duke has ordered me to bring you to him. Eugenia was stunned. It's on the urgent matter. Fine. That saves me the trouble of going to his study. Duke Basler. In name and in reality, he stood close to the royal family. He was the unrivaled head of a powerful house, a veteran politician who had seen countless intrigues. And he was my father. Rumor said he was a cold and ruthless warlord. His voice was deeper than a cavern, and his orders were not to be defied. I had to obtain this man's permission to marry Euclid, and straightened Eugenia's skirt. His Grace is very interested in you. He must have known I'm your maid, or he wouldn't have sent me to fetch you. It seems His Grace really is very worried about you. Eugenia replied coolly. If someone suddenly smashed their head into a wall and collapsed in front of you, even your worst enemy, will be concerned, and looked at her anxiously. Are you ready? Eugenia's gaze hardened. Let's go, and looked worried. Your fever still hasn't gone down. Will you really be all right? Maybe it's better to see him later. Eugenia placed her hand on the doorknob. I'm Fina. I'm going now. She looked at the guard standing beside them. Yesterday, when I went out and came back, he was the knight. I barely managed to silence through threats. He doesn't seem like the type to betray me, but I still need to clean up any loose ends. Eugenia stopped, turned to face the blonde guard, and asked, "What's your name?" The guard stiffened. "My name is Greergoon." Eugenia narrowed her eyes slightly. "Greergoon, why does that sound familiar?" She gave him a smile. "If His Grace asks about you, I'll say you did your duty well guarding the lady's door." Greergoon bowed. "Understood." Eugenia turned to leave and asked, "What do you think of that night? We also need someone for that matter. Should I handle it myself?" Eugenia smiled brightly. "That matter?" She thought for a moment. "Looks like it's plotting something. I can't exactly say I don't know what she means, so I'd better go along with it." She answered, "You handle it." She walked down the stairs, then halted. Alexis was standing by the main entrance ahead. Eugenia's eyes turned cold. "Alexis, what are you doing here?" She approached him. "What are you saying?" Alexis replied, "Why shouldn't I be here?" Eugenia said, "At this hour, shouldn't you be reporting to the night order instead of slacking off here?" A vein twitched at Alexis's temple. "Slacking off? What did you say?" He spoke angrily. "To say that to someone who just finished a week of training and finally got a break. I only found out last night, when I came back, that you had fainted." Eugenia looked confused. "What's with that expression?" Alexis said, "I didn't tell father you went out alone. So stop putting on an act. Behave yourself." Eugenia was puzzled. Why is he suddenly acting like this? A voice came from the side. "Do you know where this is? And yet you still dare to stand here chatting?" Alexis turned his head. "It's not like that." The man's gaze was sharp. "Quiet." Eugenia lowered her eyes. "Bastilleres el dest sont neuf." She grasped the hem of her skirt, but something felt strange. A surge of disgust rose in her chest. Even without Eugenia's former memories, I can clearly feel this emotion. Other than Alexis, no one calls him brother. I really hate him, Novin said coldly. "If you're here to throw another tantrum like last time, go back. That won't turn back time." Eugenia lowered her eyes. "I'm not here to throw a tantrum," Novin demanded. "Then why are you here? Your confinement hasn't been lifted, has it? Go back." Eugenia looked up. "I have something urgent to discuss with father." Novin's pupils shrank. "What did you say?" A steady voice came from inside the room. "Comin." Novin said, "Father." But Eugenia is still under confinement. Father sat at the desk in formal clothes. He raised his eyes, his gaze as sharp as a blade. Eugenia stepped into the room. Her heels clicked crisply against the floor. That man was Eugenia's father, Duke Basler. He was colder and sharper than the novel had described. I'm terrified of him. He would even lock Eugenia in her room when she made mistakes. What if I say the wrong thing? The more I thought about it, the more wronged I felt. Eugenia was the one who caused all this trouble. So why am I the one suffering for it? She clenched her fists. "The only reason I can endure all this is to marry my beloved Euclid." Tears slipped down her cheeks. She sniffled softly. The Duke barked, "Eugenia!" Novin lowered his eyes. "Is Eugenia crying?" Eugenia raised a hand. She thought. The tears started falling before I even noticed. "This makes no sense. I feel awful, but not so awful that I cry. Could these be the original memories?" The Duke abruptly stood. He strode over to Eugenia, stopped in front of her, and held out a handkerchief. "Wipe your tears." Eugenia accepted the handkerchief. "This is not what I expected." He actually handed me a handkerchief. The Duke looked at her. "I heard you were doing better. It seems I was mistaken. I'm sorry for calling you out." Eugenia lowered her eyes. "The person before me is just an ordinary father worried about his daughter. What exactly was I so afraid of before?" She spoke. "Father, I'm sorry for causing trouble in your office last time. I must have frightened you. I won't do that again. I'll give up on His Highness the Crown Prince." The Duke's body jolted. "Is that true?" Eugenia used the handkerchief to wipe the tears from the corners of her eyes. Even these sudden tears startled me. "But actually, this works out well." Crying, she said, "I have my pride too. He knew how I felt, yet he sent a proposal to my cousin Melissa instead. So I want to find someone who will look only at me. Father, I ask you, please find me the partner destined for me. Now, I want to let go of my feelings for the Crown Prince, but I'm afraid my resolve may waver again. To keep myself from repeating my mistake, I want to get married as soon as possible." Novin's gaze sharpened. "Do you mean that?" Eugenia did not retreat. "Yes, this is my sincere wish." She began to panic. "Oh no, He doesn't seem to believe me at all. She turned to her father. If possible, I want to marry before His Highness the Crown Prince does. The wedding doesn't need to be grand. I just want to leave the capital where he is as soon as possible, and then enjoy my new life with my hobbies. I trust father's wise judgment. But please don't choose a family of too low a status. The Duke called her by name. Eugenia, no matter what others say, you are still the daughter of the Basler family. His tone allowed no argument. Our family has its pride. We will never choose someone lowborn. Eugenia turned, preparing to leave. All right, I've said what needed to be said. Time to go back to my room. But somehow the Duke's reaction still feels lacking. Should I add one final line? She turned back around. Father, I admit I've always been selfish, and I've caused the family a lot of trouble. I won't be like that anymore. She lifted the hem of her skirt. The me you once knew is gone. Now, for the dramatic turn. The Duke should understand after hearing that, right? She turned. Time to leave. Her vision suddenly blurred. Eugenia fell backward. My consciousness cut out. A hand touched her forehead. She has a fever. You brought her out like this without even checking her condition. The Duke roared. Where's the doctor? Where's the doctor? Novin stood nearby. Father, please calm down. The doctor is already on the way. The doctor examined her with a stethoscope. These are symptoms of cold. He reported to the Duke. I prescribed some medicine for the young lady. She should recover after resting for a few days. There's no need to worry too much. The Duke glared at the doctor. A cold? She's been staying in her room for days. Alexis and looked alarmed. Novin guessed, could this be after effect from the accident? The doctor immediately denied it. Absolutely not. As I reported before, there was only a minor scrape on her forehead. Novin frowned. Then why is she like this? The doctor adjusted his glasses. The young lady is extremely weakened, both physically and mentally. Alexis looked at the Duke. Seriously, why did you leave while she was sick? None of the family even came to see her. How disappointed must she have been? No wonder she didn't get better. Her condition only worsened. And stepped forward. After the lady woke up, she really did ask why you hadn't come. When I told her you weren't here, she smiled as if she had given up. The Duke froze and lowered his head. I understand now. She came to find me because she felt hurt. She didn't threaten to die like last time. I should be grateful. She even called me father. Novin's thoughts drifted. I heard it too. She even called me brother. Eugenia has hated the family since she was little. That child suddenly called us father and brother. That's far too unusual. She only listened to mother. After mother died, she always cried alone in her room and never opened her heart to us. The Crown Prince's proposal to Melissa must have hit her very hard. Our Eugenia is such a foolish child. How could they treat her like this? The Duke's eyes flickered. I admit her obsession with the Crown Prince went too far, but she is still the daughter of a founding ducal house. Novin said, Father, Eugenia is capricious and stubborn. She might change her mind at any time, and we are not lacking in suitable candidates. We should arrange her marriage immediately. The Duke thought it over. Immediately, Novin said, if we want someone worthy of the Basler family, the Ludian family would be a good choice. The Duke lowered his head. Then let us move quickly. At the Ludian ducal residence, a roar tore through the silence. Absurd. Euclid sat at his desk, pen poised in hand. What is it now? His adjutant, Delano, burst in looking flustered. A marriage alliance with the Basler family's daughter? He spread his hands. You know as well as I do that her reputation is already ruined. And the entire empire knows she has only ever set her heart on the Crown Prince. Euclid looked up. Delano, how much do we still owe Count Wilsber this month? Delano tensed. 750 gold coins. Payment is due in 10 days. If we fail to pay, Count Wilsber, the only merchant guild leader in the north, will very likely raise the interest rate again, to the level of extortion. Euclid nodded. Exactly. And it's not just the branch expenses we owe the Count. There is also the mountain of debt accumulated over the years. Though our creditors are close allies and only charge us nominal interest, there's no telling how long their generosity will last. That is why this marriage is essential. Delano said, even so, I still strongly oppose it. I truly can't understand what Duke Basler is thinking. Euclid replied, didn't you say he seemed rather decent, unlike the rumors? Delano explained, he wasn't as intimidating as he was at first sight. He was unexpectedly noisy. He enthusiastically clapped me on the shoulder and said, that was a hard journey. Well done. But I never imagined he would suddenly propose a marriage alliance instead of a business partnership. Euclid said, I told you not to get your hopes up. expanding his guild that far north offers the Bachelor family no real advantage. Still, we should be grateful. Despite the lack of profit, he agreed to establish a branch here after the marriage and promised an enormous dowry. Delano muttered, "He's probably just desperate to get rid of that uncouth daughter of his." Euclid said, "The only issue is the social gossip. But I've already confirmed that the story about her and the crown prince being lovers is entirely fabricated. Therefore, even if the alliance proceeds, we won't incur the royal family's wrath. But it's true that the young lady was infatuated with the crown prince. Even so, it doesn't matter." He ordered, "Delano, prepare at once for the trip to the capital." Delano was aghast. "My lord." Euclid pushed up his glasses. "Do you have anything else to say?" Delano lowered his head. "No, my lord. My lord." The corner of Euclid's mouth lifted in a faint smile. "Then that is all. You have much to do." Dismissed. His body suddenly jerked. He bent forward and coughed violently. Blood dripped down. He struggled to lift his head. Cold sweat layered over his skin. His breathing grew ragged. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with a handkerchief. The white cloth was instantly stained a glaring red. And approached carrying a tray, smiling brightly. "My lady, it's time to take your medicine." Eugenia looked at the bowl, her brows knit together. "Again, anyone seeing this would think I'm some patient coughing up blood." She picked up the medicine. "And you don't have to stand guard over me like this." And looked troubled. His Grace the Duke gave strict orders. "I'll make sure you drink every last drop." Eugenia looked helpless. "I knew it. It's all because I never cleared up that misunderstanding that day. Time rewound to a week ago." The Duke called out, "Eugenia, are you awake? Good heavens, look at you, your skin and bones." Eugenia woke from her sleep. She looked around. "Why is everyone in my room?" The Duke explained, "We were all waiting for you to wake up. I am sorry, Eugenia. That day I had to leave because of urgent business. I didn't consider how heartbroken you'd feel waking up alone." Eugenia looked bewildered. What on earth is he talking about? Is it just because I cried in front of him that day? She waved both hands in the air. "I'm not sad at all. Not heartbroken either." The Duke looked relieved. Yes, of course. You've always been brave." Eugenia inwardly collapsed. "That's not what I meant," and stepped forward and popped a sugar candy into Eugenia's mouth. "Well done. Here, have some sugar." Eugenia took it. "Thank you." She sat on the bed. "Forget it. This is still better than being ignored." And suddenly remembered something. "Oh, right. Lady Melissa came looking for you earlier. I told her you weren't feeling well. What should I do?" Eugenia froze. "Melissa wanted to see me? Why?" "In the garden pavilion." Melissa gracefully stirred her teacup. "Sister, thank you for having tea with me today." Eugenia smiled faintly. "Don't mention it. I wanted to come out for some air anyway." Melissa's golden wavy hair shone like honey, and her eyes were as green as fresh new shoots. She radiated innocent sweetness, like a princess from a fairy tale. Eugenia lifted her teacup. "Melissa is nothing like the rest of the Bachelor family." She spoke. "So, Melissa, what was it you wanted to see me about?" Melissa's teacup trembled. Tea spilled onto the tablecloth. Melissa cried out, "Oh no, this is your favorite tablecloth." Eugenia waved a hand. "It's fine. It's only a little wet." Melissa clasped her hands together, trembling all over. "I'm sorry." Eugenia looked at her. She had been nervous and fidgety ever since she got here. Could it be because of the engagement proposal? She wiped the tablecloth. "If this is about the royal marriage proposal, you don't need to be so cautious around me. I've already let go of my feelings for the crown prince. So whether you accept or refuse, I truly don't care." Melissa said, "Just like I told you before, when I was still a commoner, I happened to meet him a few times. Back then, I didn't even know he was the crown prince. And I clearly remember you telling me that I shouldn't let the royal family control me for the sake of our family." Her eyes reddened. "So refusing the marriage proposal was entirely my own decision." Eugenia picked up her teacup. "Then why are you so restless around me today?" Melissa's voice trembled. "Actually, while I was exploring the estate, I accidentally wandered into your annex. It was like something possessed me, and I went into the basement." There, Eugenia's eyes sharpened. "Melissa, forget everything you saw and heard there." She thought, "I didn't expect Melissa to bring up Richard first. I have to stop her immediately. Otherwise, I don't know what she might say." Her tone softened. "You don't need to worry about that boy. I sent him somewhere better." Melissa's eyes widened in horror. "A better place?" Eugenia explained. I set him free. I gave him enough money for the journey. He'll be able to live just fine on his own." Melissa let out a sigh of relief. "That's wonderful." Eugenia changed the subject. "More importantly, How are you finding life here? Do you feel stifled or uncomfortable? Melissa shook her head immediately. It's wonderful here. I even like my lessons. Eugenia explained. Father ordered that until you adapt to living here, you aren't to wander around freely. You can only go out with a night escort and permission. If you want to go somewhere, ask Father. You'll need to bring a knight. But if it's somewhere safe, like the temple, he'll probably allow it. Melissa added, but the temple seems very busy lately. There are so many prayer ceremonies. The crown prince will be going off to war soon. Eugenia thought, I see. No wonder there was no response from the royal family after Melissa rejected the proposal. It's because he's about to go to war. Melissa asked curiously, Sister, is the crown prince really a battle maniac like the rumors say? Eugenia fell into thought. About that, the founding emperor defeated the evil dragon that brought disaster and became the mighty hero who unified the continent. It would only make sense for his descendant, the crown prince, to have inherited that warlike nature. Melissa looked enlightened. I suppose that's why he became the youngest sword master. It feels like the war with the kingdom of Lavian only just ended, and came running over, lifting her skirts. My lady, His Highness the Crown Prince has come to visit the estate. Eugenia's brows shot up. What? The Crown Prince? She looked at Melissa. Speak of the devil. It seems he's here to see you. And hurriedly waved her hands. No, my lady. She took a deep breath. His Highness the Crown Prince is here to see you. The Crown Prince sat in a luxurious armchair, one leg crossed over the other as he leisurely sipped his tea. Footsteps echoed through the corridor. Eugenia thought, he is the source of my obsession and my flight. She reached out and pushed the door open. I didn't expect to meet him again this soon. She stared ahead. His face and bearing really were as handsome and elegant as in the illustrations. He fit the role of the male lead perfectly, but I felt no love at all. What I felt was closer to hatred and anger. Could it be because the Crown Prince had rejected those former feelings again and again, twisting them into a bitter tangle of love and resentment? She lifted the hem of her skirt and greeted His Highness the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince rose slowly from his seat. That level of formality is enough. More importantly, is your forehead all right? I heard you foolishly smashed your head into a wall. Surely it wasn't because I proposed to your cousin. Eugenia looked away. That is not something your highness needs to concern yourself with. The Crown Prince stepped closer. I heard you hurt yourself because of me. How could I not concern myself? I also heard that after you fainted. Things have become very strange. Eugenia looked straight at him. Strange? On the contrary, I feel clearer than ever before. One of the Crown Prince's brows twitched. Eugenia continued calmly. Yes, I've decided to completely let go of my feelings for your highness, and I intend to marry someone else. From now on, I will never trouble your highness again, so you needn't worry. The Crown Prince's face instantly darkened. You mean you're going to choose someone else instead of me? He suddenly grabbed Eugenia by the shoulders. You're giving up your place by my side? The position of Crown Princess. His grip hurt her shoulders terribly. What kind of reaction is this? This is completely different from what I expected. Why is he acting like this? The Crown Prince let out a hollow laugh. Do you really think I believe that? Eugenia tried to pull away. Please let go of me. The Crown Prince released her. Is this some new trick? I'll admit, it's fresher than your usual death threats. But if you're going to lie, at least make it convincing. Eugenia lifted her head and met his gaze. But it's true. I've already sent out a proposal letter. He tilted his head. A fly? A so-called master swordsman. And he didn't notice a buzzing insect? Does that even make sense? A mocking smile tugged at the Crown Prince's lips. Even if that were true, who in the entire empire doesn't know how obsessed you are with me? Who would dare marry you? Eugenia stared at the fly. Damn it, it's impossible to focus. Please, just notice it already. That fly is making it impossible for me to hear a single word. The Crown Prince kept talking. Even if some lunatic like that does exist, I know full well you'd never give me up. I might consider accepting you as my mistress. Eugenia clenched her fist. I'm the kind of person who can't concentrate once I'm distracted. So, I need to be clear about this. No, I can't take it anymore. She suddenly struck out, slapping the Crown Prince across the face. Silence fell over the room. The Crown Prince stared at her with wide eyes. Can you explain what you just did? Eugenia's heart sank. Oh no, I'm dead. The Crown Prince was thinking, this woman slapped me while she herself was panicking. Whenever I return from the battlefield, I would deliberately ignore Eugenia and dance with other noble ladies instead. I flirted with them and gave them gifts. Of course, all of that was just an act. Eugenia had always been the sort of woman who never changed expression, no matter how outrageous my behavior was, even when I shamelessly flirted in front of her. But today was different. Just like when we were children, a trace of irritation and coldness crossed her face. It was unbelievable. "Why did you hit me?" Eugenia lowered her head. "I got distracted by a fly." She apologized quietly. "I am sorry." The Crown Prince's gaze grew cold. "You really haven't changed completely. Even now, you're still calculating the situation, setting aside your pride. But this alone isn't enough for me. What I truly want from Eugenia still hasn't appeared at all." A knock came from outside the door. A servant's voice called out, "Your Highness, it is time to return to the palace." The Crown Prince turned around. "I should be going." He looked at Eugenia. "This campaign will take at least 3 months." His gaze turned playful, a cold smile appearing on his lips. "What kind of reaction will you show me this time?" Eugenia caught his sleeve. "Wait, please take this." She took out a pink handkerchief. The Crown Prince looked baffled. "Are you giving me a handkerchief right now? Pink lace. Is this your taste?" Eugenia lowered her head. "It's just." The Crown Prince took the handkerchief. "I'll gladly accept it." "Eugenia, do you know? Your deep, cold eyes always remind me of aged wine. It takes strong liquor to endure a long campaign." He clenched the handkerchief tightly. "But now, it seems I have one more thing to rely on." Eugenia pressed a hand to her forehead. "What a disaster." I slapped the Crown Prince in the face just to get rid of a fly. She collapsed onto the sofa. "Still, he's not quite like the original version I know. He seems surprisingly tolerant. He wouldn't possibly become interested in me just because I slapped him, right? That can't be possible, right?" More importantly, I gave Melissa's handkerchief to the Crown Prince. I really don't know if that was okay. Oh well, I think I handled things decently enough. Alexis raised his arms and stretched. "I need to eat and rest quickly. Every mock battle leaves me completely exhausted." He pushed open the dining room doors. He stopped short. "Eugenia, why are you here? Don't you always avoid gatherings like this?" Eugenia was cutting the food on her plate with graceful movements. "Is it strange for a family to eat together?" She set down her knife and fork, her expression calm. Though I understand why Alexis is surprised. The Olmi never ate with the family. Today is just an exception. I came to hear the answer to the proposal, and I was asked to stay for dinner. The Duke asked, "I heard the Crown Prince visited the ducal house today. Did he blame you for Melissa's refusal?" Eugenia shook her head. "He didn't scold me, but I don't know where he heard it. He already seemed to know about that disgraceful farce at the ducal house." Anger radiated from the Duke. "What nerve? Who spread something like that?" Eugenia lowered her eyes. "I don't know who it was, but I told His Highness that I had already given him up. He didn't seem to believe me. Instead, he told me not to dream of becoming Crown Princess. He even asked me to become his mistress." Everyone looked shocked. "What? He said that?" Novin's eyes turned icy. "Even if he is royalty, asking an unmarried noble lady to become his mistress is no different from trampling on our family's honor." The Duke's expression hardened. "Tomorrow, I will lodge a formal protest with the royal family." Eugenia lowered her gaze. "Father, I'm sorry. I didn't just let him bully me." The Duke reassured her. "You did very well. If you had done nothing, that's when I would have been angry." Eugenia raised her head. "Actually, I slapped His Highness." The dining room instantly fell, deathly silent. Everyone froze. Alexis sprang up from his chair. "You really hit him?" "This has gotten serious," the Duke said. "The Crown Prince is a master swordsman. To him, that slap probably felt like an insect bite." Eugenia quietly agreed. "Exactly. He's an insect." She folded her hands together, her expression composed. "In any case, I didn't do anything wrong. I hope this matter can end quietly. I just want to get married as soon as possible." The corners of the Duke's lips lifted. "Perfect. That is exactly why I called you to dinner. The answer to the proposal has arrived." A light flashed in Eugenia's eyes. Finally, holding her breath, she asked, "Did they accept?" The Duke said, "Of course. What man would refuse a bride like you?" Eugenia was overjoyed. "Wonderful." The Duke continued, "It seems they sent the letter by ordinary carriage, which is why it took so long. A founding ducal family known for producing exceptional mages, and they don't even have a magic carriage. When you go there, prepare several magic carriages for them. And Naturally, a large number of mages as well. Eugenia asked, if that's the case, won't they need one more urgently when they come to the capital? Could we send one ahead of time? The Duke gave a slight nod. Understand. I'll take care of it. Also, I've already chosen the knight who will serve you after marriage. Eugenia froze. What? The Duke continued. The knight who guarded your door the last time you were confined. I heard you were quite fond of him. Eugenia stiffened. Ah, him, she thought. Could that be the man and mentioned? The Duke said, I had just started thinking the two of you might get along well, and now we have to hold the engagement ceremony first and postpone the wedding for a year. Eugenia's face darkened. What? Her gaze was resolute. I told you before, I want to marry as soon as possible. The wedding doesn't need to be extravagant. A small ceremony attended only by family will do. The Duke frowned. How can it be done carelessly? This is the wedding of the Duchess of Lydian. Eugenia insisted. His Highness the Crown Prince will depart for war soon. I want to leave the capital before he returns. The Duke closed his eyes. If that is what you want, we will contact the temple immediately. Alexis suddenly spoke up. Wait, I don't understand. What have you all been talking about this whole time? Marriage. Novin answered. Because Eugenia has decided to get married. Alexis shouted in shock. Really? Who's the groom? Why am I the only one who didn't know? He turned to Melissa. You knew too? Melissa nodded slowly. Alexis flared up. What kind of joke is this? Why didn't any of you tell me? Am I not family too? He shoved his chair back. I'm leaving first. Eugenia watched his retreating back. Why did he suddenly get angry? The corridor was empty. Alexis's dramatic departure had made the atmosphere instantly awkward. As Eugenia walked, she thought he stormed off in anger. What a childish boy. A knight with short brown hair stood in the distance. Eugenia stopped. That must be the knight Father mentioned, and also said he would escort me. I think his name was Greer Goon. That name sounds strangely familiar. Greer quickly stepped forward. My lady, he suddenly dropped to one knee. Please forgive my past disloyalty. Eugenia was stunned. Why are you suddenly doing this? Greer lowered his head. Until now, I believed the rumors about you. So when I was ordered to guard your door, I thought it was an ill omen. But you showed me a grace as vast as the sea. I wish to devote my entire life to serving you. Eugenia was at a loss. In the original novel, when I caused that disturbance, this man risked his life to protect me. He was a loyal supporting character. I wonder what and said behind the scenes to make him talk about some so-called grace. Since I still don't know the full story, I need to be careful. She raised a hand. Stand up first. I'll be getting married and heading north soon. Are you sure you still want to follow me? Greer answered firmly. Yes. I left my hometown to treat my younger brother's illness, so I don't mind. My brother has effectively been taken as a hostage, so I am not allowed to go north. The northern climate is too harsh for a sick person. Eugenia finally understood. So, when you said hostage, you only meant your brother needed to stay here to receive proper treatment. Greer covered his face with his hand, mortified. You're only understanding that now, my lady. Eugenia sighed. All right, you may go. Greer immediately replied, Thank you, my lady. After returning to her room, she thought, this is unexpected. I never imagined I'd end up with my own personal knight. She looked at Anne. In just 1 week, she figured out my whole situation and even brought me a knight to swear loyalty. This person is definitely not simple. She suddenly asked, and don't you think it's strange that I suddenly want to marry someone else? A smile spread across Anne's face. Though I cannot fully understand your intentions, my lady, I believe this decision must have its proper reasons. Eugenia rested her chin on one hand. It isn't that. It's just that the person inside has changed. And continued, I believe you must also have your reasons for choosing Duke Lydian. A man knelt on the cold floor. He raised his head, his voice hoarse. Please, kill me. Is that truly your wish? He clasped his hands together, his voice trembling. If it is necessary to help milady. If I do this, can we really save the world? A man approached. High Priest, if this continues, you'll collapse. You've been praying for several nights in a row. He looked at the High Priest. The man had always been upright and unwavering in faith, but now he seemed utterly broken, as though he had witnessed something horrifying. Beads of sweat slid down the High Priest's temples. His face was haggard, his eyes hollow. He looked at the man. What brings you to me so late? The man answered, I came because there is something I must tell you. Lady Bachelor has made a request. She wishes to hold her wedding at the Grand Temple. I heard her obsession with the crown prince was known to everyone, so the priests were all rather. And, unexpectedly, the groom is not His Highness the Crown Prince. But, the high priest said, it is Duke Ludian, correct? The man froze. How did you? The high priest said, I will inform you of the wedding date as soon as possible. Please pass word to the Basler family. The man nodded. Yes, understood. The high priest, leader of all the clergy, clenched his fist, his eyes filled with resolve. It has to be me. Early morning at the Basler ducal residence. Eugenia and Alexis sat facing each other in silence. A pillow lay between them. Alexis hugged it tightly. I'm not sulking. You're the one who came to find me first. Will staring at your tightly shut lips and unhappy face make me feel any better? Eugenia looked at him. Honestly, why are you talking like that? Are you still upset because I didn't tell you about the marriage? Then what do you have to say? You still need your older sister to take care of you even after I'm married? Alexis lowered his head. I wasn't going to bring that up. Eugenia said, why are you making that face? It's not like I hid it from only you. The way you're acting, you'd think I were going off to war tomorrow. Is there really any need to be this miserable? Alexis looked aggrieved. Why do you always treat me differently? You let Melissa call you so affectionately. So why have you always treated me like this? Eugenia lowered her head. I'm sorry. When they were younger, Eugenia had been very cold to Alexis. That summer, little Alexis held out a bouquet of flowers, and Eugenia snapped at him. Didn't I tell you not to call me sister? Alexis looked at her. Then can I call you my lady? Eugenia shoved him away. From now on, don't call me sister again. She turned and walked away, leaving Alexis behind by himself, her back ice cold. Eugenia sighed. Fine, I won't treat you differently anymore. From now on, you may call me sister. Alexis suddenly looked up, astonished. You're only letting me call you sister now? You think I'd be happy about that? Eugenia looked helpless. Then what do you want me to do? I already apologized. Stop dwelling on it. Alexis said, instead of just forgiving you, agree to one request. Eugenia sighed. Fine. Alexis said, if I return safely this time, can I visit the Ludian ducal house? Eugenia froze. What are you saying, you brat? What do you mean if you return safely? Don't say something so unlucky. Of course you'll come back safely. Alexis turned his head slightly. Are you inviting me to the Ludian ducal house? Eugenia nodded. Fine, kulme. And since I can't attend the victory parade, stop sulking like a child and saying I'm no fun. Alexis muttered quietly. You never came before either. You never even gave me a handkerchief, the kind of thing you casually give strangers. Eugenia took out a handkerchief. Here. She smiled faintly. Satisfied now? Alexis accepted the handkerchief, his fingertips brushing the soft cloth. I never thought I'd receive something like this from you. He broke into a radiant smile. Thank you, sister. Eugenia looked away. Don't lose it. 3 days later, a carriage rolled smoothly over the stone road. Euclid sat inside the carriage. My first time riding in a magic carriage. It's fast and smooth. I didn't expect Duke Basler to be so considerate. I am truly grateful, as expected of the wealthiest family in the empire. His aide frowned, but the more I think about it, the stranger it seems. For them to be this generous, there must be some scheme behind it. Euclid gave a quiet laugh. A scheme? What kind of scheme? The aide said softly. Sean suddenly appeared in the north, voluntarily handed over the Basler Trading Company, and even promised to double the dowry. Euclid flipped through the documents. A rushed wedding is one thing, but to hold the ceremony quietly at the temple with no guests. Perhaps she is simply a devout believer. The aide said, because it overlaps with your deployment schedule. She may want to keep everything simple, but it sounds far too much like an excuse. Euclid pondered. If you have something to say it plainly. The aide looked troubled. Don't you think it's strange, Your Grace? It's almost as if they have some reason why absolutely no trace can be left behind. Or perhaps she's plotting something. Euclid cut him off. Enough. That lady and I have already made a promise. I know your concern comes from care for me and for the ducal house. But even if your intentions are good, I do not wish to hear any more. The aide lowered his head. My apologies. The carriage rolled into a grand estate, and the gates slowly opened, and stood together with two maids. The maids whispered to each other. Lady Eugenia looks a little different today. Yes, her makeup and clothing are unlike usual, and replied, My lady asked for a different style today. But why does she look so nervous? The carriage came to a steady halt. The carriage door opened. Euclid stepped down. Eugenia walked up to greet him. 3 hours before Euclid's arrival, a scream shattered the quiet. "What is this?" Eugenia clutched her hair, her body frozen in shock. I broke out. She sank weakly before the dressing table. Impossible. This is my historic first meeting with my favorite character. I even went out of my way to get a facial treatment and pushed open the door. "My lady, She stared dumbfounded. "Your flawless skin." Eugenia covered her cheek. "Please don't say that with such a shocked expression. Why did I have to break out now of all times? I've never had a pimple before." And lowered her head. "It seems there must have been something in the face pack I gave you yesterday that didn't suit your skin. I am terribly sorry. I tried adding a new herb today. And how did that turn out?" Eugenia sighed. "It's fine. Looks like I overdid it. Is there any way to get rid of it? What if I squeeze it and rush forward?" "Don't. It'll only make it worse." She clenched her fists, determination in her eyes. "Please trust me. I'll cover it perfectly for you." Eugenia looked at her. "All right." A few hours later, her skirts swaying lightly, Eugenia took a step forward. Alexis frowned. "What is that? What did you do to your face? Didn't you call the maid who handles makeup?" He sighed. "Forget it. At this rate, we'll be late. Hurry up." Eugenia was confused. What on earth is wrong after all the effort I put into covering it? A white carriage stopped in front of the grand estate. The Duke stepped forward with a smile. "You must be tired from the long journey." Boots stepped onto the carpet. The aide got down from the carriage and gave the Duke a slight bow. "Thank you for receiving us, Duke Basler. I am Delrano, aide to Duke Euclid Ludian." Eugenia stepped forward. "Just an aide?" Delrano sucked in a breath. "What is that? Is it the latest makeup trend in the capital?" Euclid stepped down from the carriage. "It has been a long time, Duke Basler. I trust all has been well." Bathed in sunlight, he looked like a divine miracle descended to earth. In that instant, Eugenia became utterly certain. Even if the world were overturned and time thrown into chaos, I came here to see this man. That is my one and only conviction. Her lips trembled slightly. Why do I feel like I'm about to cry? It feels as though I'm being reunited with a first love lost long ago. Euclid extended his hand slightly. "I'm very pleased to meet you. I am Euclid Ludian." His voice was low and pleasant, as if carved by the gods themselves. "So this is our first meeting." The Duke cleared his throat, interrupting Eugenia's thoughts. Eugenia came back to herself. "Oh no, I almost forgot the greeting." She lifted her skirts and gave a graceful curtsy. "The honor is mine, your grace. I am Eugenia Basler." A flicker of restrained emotion passed through Euclid's eyes before they calmed again. He held out his hand. "The honor is mine as well, to meet you like this." He took her fingertips and pressed a kiss to them, his movements gentle and restrained. "I look forward to our future together." Eugenia screamed inwardly. "Oh my God, my favorite character kissed the back of my hand." She desperately held back her excitement. He could have held on a little tighter. What a shame. Her cheeks flushed. Should I just grab his hand and drag him back to my room? We're getting married. Shouldn't the wedding night be in our own house? She shook her head violently. What am I thinking in public? The Duke's voice brought her back to reality. "You must be tired from the journey." Euclid replied, "Not at all. Thanks to the magic carriage you sent, the trip was very comfortable. Thank you for your thoughtfulness." The Duke said, "The meal will be ready shortly. Let's go inside." Eugenia hurriedly spoke up. "Before that, may I change clothes?" Euclid nodded. "Of course. Please do." Eugenia quickly added, "Then I'll return to my room first and touch up my makeup while I'm at it." She rushed into her room and looked at herself in the mirror. What disaster. It looks like the kind of apocalyptic makeup I used to see on television as a child. It didn't look this bad when it was first applied. It must have smudged. Now I understand Alexis's reaction. I specially commissioned this bright and adorable dress for Euclid. Euclid, a living angel. And he didn't even react to my horrible makeup. He still treated me so kindly. Just seeing my favorite character is enough to make me want to cry. I was worried I might feel as disgusted as I did when I saw the Crown Prince. Did my sincere love for my favorite character overcome Eugenia's original emotions? A knock sounded at the door. "My lady, may I come in?" Eugenia answered weakly, and "Come in," and entered carrying a tray. "My lady, where did you go? Please take this." Eugenia looked at the bottles on the tray. "What are these?" and explained the black one in the middle is a sedative. The rest are digestive medicines. She lowered her head. I didn't expect you to be this nervous. And then I gave you that makeup. Eugenia took the bottle. Thank you for bringing these to me now. Thanks to you, I'll be able to attend dinner more comfortably. By the way, there's something else I need your help with. And instantly perked up. Yes, my lady. Please give your orders. I'm at your service anytime. Eugenia looked into the mirror. First, remove this makeup. I also need to change into a new dress. And nodded. Yes, I understand, my lady. Melissa stood up from her seat and waved brightly. Sister, you're here. Eugenia entered the dining room. Yes. Melissa, has no one else arrived yet? Melissa shook her head. Not yet. Eugenia noticed Melissa's gaze. Melissa, is there something on my face? Melissa's cheeks reddened. It's because you're too beautiful. Eugenia's face remained blank. Is that so? Melissa sat back down. Sister, what do you think of Duke Lydian? I think he seems like a good person. Eugenia shivered slightly. Is this my chance to show off my favorite character? We only just exchanged greetings, but I also think he's wonderful, Melissa added. Not only is he handsome, his manner is very gentle and refined. And I've heard so many things about him. The rumors say he's exactly as everyone claims, kind and compassionate. I want to speak with him soon. Eugenia said nothing, merely listened quietly. The dining room doors opened. The Duke strode in. So you're already here. Everyone, please take your seats. I hope you enjoy the meal. Smiling, the Duke said, Duke Lydian, if there is anything you cannot eat or anything you need, please don't hesitate to say so. Euclid dipped his head slightly. Thank you for your consideration. The Duke gestured. Please sit. Eugenia secretly watched Euclid. He truly shines like the sun. How can he wear such bright colors so perfectly? I changed clothes specially so I could match him a little. Too bad Euclid changed too. What a pity. But how can he be this handsome? Short golden hair, flawless skin, a sculpted body, elegant bearing. He looks like a god. Their eyes met. A blush spread across Euclid's cheeks. He quickly looked away. Eugenia blinked. Was I seeing things? Euclid coughed lightly and pressed his fist to his lips, trying to hide his embarrassment. The Duke asked with concern, Are you all right? Euclid lowered his hand. Yes, I'm fine. My apologies. The Duke said, If you feel unwell in any way, please tell me. He turned to Eugenia. But Eugenia, you don't seem to have much of an appetite. You've barely touched your food. Then again, meeting your future husband for the first time must leave you with many questions. If you have anything to ask, go ahead. Eugenia snapped back to herself. I was so busy admiring Euclid that I forgot to eat. A question I want to ask? If I had to say, they'd all be about Euclid. The Duke gave a dry laugh. It seems you're a little shy. He looked at Euclid. By the way, you brought only an attendant with you. No one else came along? Didn't you say you had 2 young nieces? Euclid smiled as he explained. That's right. They're still young and have never left the north before. Since our stay in the capital will be brief this time, I did not bring them. Thanks to your consideration, we arrived quickly by magic carriage. The Duke mused. So you're in such a hurry to return? It does seem rather rushed. Eugenia immediately cut in. Father, we've already packed our luggage and plan to leave tomorrow. Are you asking us to change our plans now? The Duke tried to dissuade her. The wedding is already rushed. Must you leave so quickly as well? If Duke Lydian has no urgent business, why not stay a few more days? Since you've come to the capital, visiting the palace and reporting personally to His Majesty would not be a bad idea either. Eugenia frowned. What exactly are these people trying to do? She said coldly. His Majesty is not the elder of either of our families. Is there really any need to report to him in person? The Duke's gaze remained gentle. But His Majesty has doted on you since childhood. He is certain to miss you. Euclid offered an apologetic smile. I am sorry. As I said earlier, my nieces are still young. It would not be convenient for them to remain in the capital for long. The Duke nodded. I understand. The servants told me you hardly unpacked your luggage in the room. Is there something uncomfortable about it? Euclid explained, We plan to stay at the Lydian ducal residence tonight, so we did not fully unpack. The Duke said, Would staying in an unused residence for so long be inconvenient? Euclid answered frankly, It's all right. The servants at that estate all belong to the royal family. Eugenia was startled. The servants at the Lydian residence belong to the royal family? Melissa spoke up. Once sister goes north, it'll be hard to see her again. The Duke gently comforted her. Eugenia has lived in the capital all her life. The far north will be unfamiliar and oppressive to her. She'll surely come back often. Eugenia put down her knife and fork. That is my home now. I will adapt and live there. The table instantly fell silent. All eyes turned toward her. Eugenia was puzzled. Why is everyone looking at me like that? It makes sense for the others to be disappointed. But why does Euclid look so surprised? She thought to herself, Euclid probably assumed I was still obsessed with the crown prince. My answer must have caught him off guard. That surprised expression of his is so cute. Still, it's fine. Little by little, I'll let him know I'm not that kind of person. Dinner ended, and evening fell over the ducal estate. The duke stood up. Then I shall take my leave. Son-in-law, travel safely. We'll see each other tomorrow at the wedding. Eugenia sighed. Father, please mind your wording. Euclid boarded the carriage. Delrano asked with concern, did dinner go well? Your manners are impeccable, so I assume everything was fine. Euclid replied evenly. It was all right. Delrano asked curiously, what did you think of the young lady? Your first impression of her seemed a bit unusual. Euclid lifted a hand to his chin. He fell into thought. Delrano said, Your Grace, you looked rather shocked too. Honestly, when I first saw her, my heart nearly stopped. She looked like the Grim Reaper come alive. Eugenia's image flashed through Euclid's mind. She truly is beautiful. Delrano froze. What? I never imagined the Duke's type was that sort of dangerous woman with such an overwhelming aura. Euclid refuted him. I have never seen such a beautiful woman. Delrano lowered his voice. Doesn't she seem a little melancholy? As if she's being forced into this. Euclid fell silent. I had thought that once this marriage was arranged, I would let her live freely afterward. That was my plan. But how absurd. The moment I saw her, time seemed to stop. It felt as though only the two of us existed in the world. A strange sensation, as if I had finally found what I had been waiting for all this time. I once thought she had no interest in this marriage at all. The Duke's voice rang out. Why am I pushing forward with this marriage so hastily? Because I have no other wish but to see it concluded smoothly. Some time ago, the royal family sent our house a marriage proposal. I thought it was meant for Eugenia, but it wasn't. Needless to say, our Eugenia was deeply in love. Euclid lowered his head. I can imagine. The Duke said, if there is any good news, it is that Eugenia has finally abandoned those long-held feelings of hers. In other words, this marriage is something she herself pushed for. Euclid suddenly looked up, eyes wide with disbelief. Euclid sat in the carriage, his hands clasped tightly on his knees. Contrary to my assumptions, it was not Duke Bachelor who arranged this marriage alliance. It was Eugenia's own choice. Once it is done, she may regret her decision. But if I break the engagement now, I will lose the trust of the Bachelor family, and then the family debts, and my young niece and nephew. A furious shout rang out. Stop! The coachman yanked the reins, and the carriage came to a sudden halt. A guard barked sharply. The people inside the carriage, come out and identify yourselves. This is the residence of Duke Ludian, under the Empire's direct jurisdiction. Delrano bristled with anger. How insolent! I'll go down and handle this at once. Euclid raised a hand to stop him. It's fine. I'll deal with it. He stepped down from the carriage with calm strides. When the guard saw who it was, the spear almost slipped from his grasp. Why, Your Grace? Why have you come here so late at night? Are you entering the capital for some business? Euclid looked tired. I am exhausted. Open the gate and let me rest. The guard hurriedly apologized. Forgive me, my lord. The gate slowly creaked open, revealing the inside of the residence. This estate had been granted by the first emperor. It had stood vacant for more than 500 years. When the family declined, they tried to return it to the royal family, but the royal family refused. Not only did they refuse, they insisted on paying all the maintenance costs. In practice, it was royal property in all but name. A steward and a line of servants came out to greet him. Your Grace, it has been a long time. Euclid's face was expressionless. Indeed, it has. Philip, I am tired. Take me to my room at once. Philip bowed. As you command, my lord. As they walked, he asked, Have you eaten? Shall I prepare something right away? Euclid smiled faintly. I have no appetite. I only want to wash and sleep. Prepare bath water. Philip nodded. Yes, understood. Wearing a robe, Euclid dried his damp hair with a towel. He entered the spacious bedroom. A boy with short brown hair stood inside. He bowed nervously. My lord, I came in. Was the water to your liking? He suddenly lifted his head. My name is Rick. Euclid set down the towel. A pleasure to meet you. Thanks to you, Rick, I had a comfortable bath. Then he lowered his eyes. I won't be needing anything else tonight. You may leave. Rick stepped back respectfully. Yes, my lord. If you need anything, please call for me. Euclid sat alone on the edge of the bed, looking down at the ornate carpet. The moment I stepped in here, I felt it again. This residence is nothing but a birdcage built by the royal family. He crouched down and pulled out a purple magical device from beneath the bed. There are servants and magical devices everywhere, watching my every movement. Even now, his eyes turn cold. This is a sinister and pitiful place. The Empire's 500-year history was built on two founding families. One was the immensely wealthy Basler family. The other was the talent-rich Lydian family. The Basler family financed the first emperor with their immense wealth, while the first head of the Lydian family served as the emperor's chief mage. After the first emperor defeated the evil dragon, both families were named founding contributors and granted noble titles and lands. However, for unknown reasons, the Lydian family gave up the capital and moved to the barren north. Even in that wasteland, the family had once been a place of shelter, a loving father, and a wise older brother. Euclid had lived safely under their care, until 5 years ago. A fierce wind rattled the windows of the residence. A voice came from the crystal ball. Euclid, father is gone. Euclid trembled. Brother. A weak voice came through the crystal ball. I fear I do not have long either. I am sorry. Euclid asked, what are you saying? Where are you? I'll come find you right now. His brother said, I left evidence behind. I do not know whether it will become your salvation or the burden that destroys you. Euclid's pupils contracted sharply. His brother's final words came through. Please, take care of Marianne and Dio. Like a madman, Euclid tore through the entire residence. He smashed open walls and found hidden listening devices and magical surveillance tools. From that moment on, he began to suspect every servant, every word and action, every movement, even a shifting shadow. His nerves were drawn so tight they nearly snapped. He lived in suffocating fear, and when his mind began to collapse, everything fell apart with it. He pressed a hand to his forehead. His temples throbbed violently. A piercing ringing echoed in his ears. He gasped for breath, sweat dripping down. If I end everything now, will I finally know peace? I cannot even protect this decaying body of mine. His eyes flew open. If I die, what will happen to the children my brother left behind? They would never survive. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with a handkerchief. Then he threw the handkerchief to the floor. Good. I will deliberately expose a weakness and force them to lower their guard. A faint smile appeared on his face. His eyes sharpened with resolve. From that day onward, I abandoned all hesitation and lived only to survive. That is why this marriage must take place, for myself and for the Lydian family. Euclid stood before Eugenia, sunlight spilling between them. Even if choosing this path means that, in the end, the one who gets hurt is her. At last, the long-awaited wedding day arrived. Eugenia's face was expressionless. Good morning. You both look awful. The Duke sat upright. Welcome, Eugenia. Eugenia walked toward the table. You don't look well. Did something happen? The Duke said, I merely drank a little too much yesterday. He looked at Eugenia. Are you nervous? Eugenia looked puzzled. What is he talking about? The Duke said, This is a once-in-a-lifetime ceremony. Countless nobles would have come to congratulate you. Eugenia replied impatiently. But then I'd have to deal with a crowd of nobles I don't even know. I don't need that kind of empty formality. She picked up her cup. A grand wedding doesn't suit me. I prefer it this way. The Duke nodded. Yes, you never did like noisy places. To be honest, I was very worried about you. You never spoke your mind, and then you changed all at once. I could hardly believe it. Ever since you woke after fainting from being rejected by the crown prince, you've been different, as though you'd walked through death's door. The corners of his lips curled slightly, relief flickering in his eyes. But now I understand. The daughter I knew has returned. Eugenia thought in silence. I never knew the Duke thought that way. The feeling in my heart is strange, but not unpleasant. The Duke spoke again. Come to think of it, I heard that the high priest himself will personally officiate this marriage. Eugenia replied evenly. Is that so? Melissa suddenly began coughing violently. Eugenia turned to her at once. Melissa, are you all right? Melissa covered her mouth and quickly shook her head. I'm fine. I just choked a little. Eugenia thought to herself, Melissa really does seem eager to see the High Priest today. The High Priest is the Empire's highest-ranking cleric and also the final male lead in the dangerous choice of the Villainess. He has a noble appearance and a kind manner, yet coldly rejected Melissa's confession. He can heal illness with divine power, and people even call him a god among men. Melissa was deeply hurt by that, but I think he did nothing wrong as High Priest. Eugenia rested her chin on one hand, deep in thought. Wait, if he possesses that kind of divine power, could he discover that I came from another world? The temple, 1 hour before the wedding. Euclid took a deep breath and straightened his clothes. Even if this marriage was a rash decision, I must see it through. He knocked on the door. My lady, I'm coming in. There's something I need to say to you. He stopped short. My lady, what are you doing? Eugenia was holding a bottle. Inside, a dark purple liquid sparkled like starlight. Euclid's pupils constricted. What kind of power is that? Could it be poison? Because she couldn't marry the crown prince. No, I have to stop her. He lunged forward. My lady, the bottle shattered. The liquid splashed across the floor. Euclid grabbed her by the shoulders. You didn't drink it, did you? You didn't, right? His voice trembled. What on earth were you thinking? No matter how much you dislike this marriage, you can't do something like this. Eugenia looked utterly confused. What in the world is going on? Eugenia thought silently. I had hoped he wouldn't take this marriage too seriously. It was supposed to be a transaction that could be called off at any time. I never thought of myself as a substitute for the crown prince. Seeing him like this, I started to feel a strange sense of discomfort. He said, I'll go outside and tell them. The wedding is canceled. This is your choice. Eugenia looked at him calmly. I think you misunderstood. I was just going to drink a sedative to calm my nerves. Euclid froze. A sedative? Eugenia explained. Yes. I was too nervous, so I asked the servant to bring me a bottle. Euclid's face flushed red. He covered his face with his hand. I am sorry. It seems I misunderstood. Eugenia smiled faintly. It's fine. It was easy to misunderstand. Inside, she was overjoyed. I was wondering why he burst in like that. But he's really cute. She spoke up. More importantly, the ceremony is about to begin. Why did you come here? Euclid raised his head. I came to apologize to you. Eugenia looked puzzled. Apologize for what? Euclid lowered his gaze. I am sorry. Compared to the benefits the Ludian family gained from this marriage, I feel sorry that you had to accept someone as flawed as me. Euclid looked at her with complete honesty. So even if you hate me after we marry, that's fine. Even if your heart belongs to someone else, that's fine. Eugenia straightened slightly. That's utter nonsense. What kind of misunderstanding do you have about this marriage? And stepped forward. My lady, the ceremony is about to begin. You should prepare to enter. Euclid turned away. I'll go ahead. Eugenia inwardly groaned. Damn it. I missed my chance to refute him. Why are there so many problems before the wedding ceremony? First, he misunderstood and thought I was going to kill myself. And now he's saying I can hate him and have someone else in my heart. As he walked down the corridor, Eugenia thought, what on earth is Euclid thinking? He didn't even tell me I look pretty in my wedding dress. I feel a little disappointed. Euclid stood in the distance. He was dressed magnificently, his posture tall and straight. Sunlight fell over him, making him look almost divine. Eugenia stared at him. What's wrong with me? All my worries from before have completely disappeared. Her wedding dress was pure white, the skirt decorated with tiny flowers. She wore a smile, though a trace of shyness hid in her eyes. Euclid gazed at her. His eyes were gentle. Eugenia spoke softly. Are you all right? Euclid came back to himself. I'm fine. He held out his hand. Then let's go in. Eugenia lowered her eyes. Even though it had only been 2 short weeks, she took Euclid's hand. After everything we went through, I'm finally going to marry Euclid. The officiant stood on the high platform, looking down at the couple below. Groom, Euclid. Bride, Eugenia. Is that correct? He was Damien, the high priest of the Hezbollah order. Euclid answered, yes, that's correct. Eugenia nodded. Yes. Damien's gaze sharpened. I didn't hear your answer clearly. His eyes fixed on the bride. Bride, are you Eugenia? Eugenia stiffened. Yes, that's right. Why is he asking twice? Is he trying to make me nervous? Damien withdrew his gaze. Then, the wedding ceremony will now begin. He declared loudly, in the name of the goddess Hezbollah, I solemnly proclaim this. Cast away your false faith. The goddess of atonement will never forgive those who defile this land with lies. Before evil overruns the world, you must at all times atone, pray, and hope for peace. If you do so, salvation shall one day be yours. Eugenia was bewildered. Are all temple officiants like this? What on earth is he talking about? The guests also began whispering among themselves. The Duke's anger rose. High Priest, what the hell is wrong with you? On a once-in-a-lifetime wedding, how dare you spout such rude nonsense? Damien turned his eyes toward Eugenia. You must be humble and submit to the destiny set before you. Do you understand? Beneath her veil, Eugenia's face tightened. First he said that, and now he's telling me to submit to my predetermined fate. In the novel, Eugenia was obsessed with the crown prince, ended up divorced, and her family fell apart. But I will never accept that fate. She raised her head and looked straight at Damien. What if my destiny is to carve out my own path? Damien replied coolly, you may not get a second chance. That is usually how it goes. The Duke asked, what exactly are they talking about? Alexis shook his head. I don't know either. Damien closed his eyes. May blessings be with your future. Now the bride and groom shall recite their vows. Euclid took a deep breath. All right, I just have to say it like we practiced. He turned to Eugenia. Euclid, take Eugenia as my wife. I swear to honor her faithfully until death. Eugenia looked up. My turn. She made her vow. Eugenia, take Euclid Ludian as my husband. I will cherish him more than my own life. I swear to protect him with my life. Euclid's eyes froze instantly. He stared at Eugenia in shock. The entire hall fell silent. Eugenia's heart tightened. Did I say something wrong? Wasn't it supposed to be that I would love him faithfully until death? That's right, isn't it? Damien cleared his throat. Now exchange the rings, and then seal it with a kiss. A guest whispered, the rings aren't diamond. Eugenia thought, I actually like them better. These are amethyst rings worn by the first married couple of the Ludian family. Euclid took Eugenia's hand and slipped the ring onto her finger. Eugenia looked up. Now only Euclid's face remained as he leaned closer. He whispered softly, don't worry. I'll pretend to kiss you. Eugenia stiffened. What did he just say? Euclid bent down. His lips lightly brushed the corner of her mouth, then parted at once. He straightened immediately. The wedding ceremony was over. Eugenia was filled with disappointment. Is that really it? The kiss I was looking forward to most ended just like that? Damien's voice rang out. Lastly, please sign the marriage certificate. Eugenia screamed inwardly. I really wanted a real kiss. This is so unfair. The two of them picked up quills and signed their names on the marriage certificate. Damien announced, I hereby declare, in the name of the goddess Hezalin, that the marriage between these two is now officially established. Bells echoed. Eugenia thought, finally, I'm married to Euclid, my favorite. The Duke stood in front of the carriage. He reminded her, even though you're married now, you are still a member of the Basler family. Eugenia looked up at him. I belong to the Ludian family now, so please don't worry. The Duke sighed. Yes, you're the Duchess of Ludian now, but you will always be my daughter. Eugenia's gaze trembled. Yes, I know. Melissa stepped forward. She hesitated a little. Sister, may I write to you? Eugenia answered at once. Of course. I'd be happy if you wrote to me. Melissa's face instantly lit up. Eugenia thought, I'll be able to receive letters from Melissa from now on. To be honest, I've met all 3 male leads now, but not a single one of them is normal. I'm really worried about Melissa's future. Eugenia turned around. We should go. We can't keep standing in the street talking. The carriage was waiting. The Duke said, like I just said, if you need help, contact me anytime. Eugenia nodded. I'll remember that. Alexis suddenly spoke. Wait. Eugenia tilted her head. What is it? Has he been wanting to say something to me all this time? He asked in confusion. Why are you stopping me? Alexis explained, the carriage you're supposed to ride and hasn't arrived yet. Eugenia was puzzled. My carriage? Alexis explained. The Mage Tower released a new magical carriage. Our Basler family got exclusive information about it. Since some of your carriages were being sent to the Ludian estate, I thought it would be nice to buy this one for you too. Eugenia lightly touched her lower lip. Could this be his wedding gift to me? She looked up. Then which carriage am I supposed to take? Alexis looked awkward. The Mage Tower promised it would arrive on time. The sound of hoofbeats came closer and closer. It rang out sharply. The two turned around. A splendid carriage slowly came to a halt. A silver-haired man stepped out. I did my best to arrive on time, but it seems I'm a little late. Eugenia held her breath. Wait, that man. Could he be the master of the Mage Tower? Alexis stepped forward. I didn't expect the Tower Master to come in person. The man spread his hands. I was just curious about your reaction to the newest product. Alexis sighed. You came all the way here just for that. The man slung an arm over Euclid's shoulder, grinning broadly. Of course, I also came to congratulate my friend on his marriage. Euclid said, "We've known him for a long time." The Duke stepped forward. "If you're such a friend, why didn't you come earlier for the ceremony? Did you at least give 2 gifts of money?" The man curled his lip dismissively. "I wasn't invited at all, and that would have been a waste of money." Euclid replied expressionlessly, "I wasn't expecting anything anyway." The man bristled at once. "I came all this way, and that's the attitude you give me?" Eugenia quietly watched from a distance. "Are they really friends? Whatever, I'd better go look at the new carriage." The man stood before everyone and proudly announced, "This is an innovative design I specially prepared for the Duchess. Perfect and stylish. You're definitely going to love it." He snapped his fingers. "All right, time for the unveiling." The black cloth was pulled away, revealing a strange carriage. It had a streamlined body and wheels with a modern feel. The man said, "This is my perfect masterpiece. A new model carriage." Euclid stared in astonishment. "This is a carriage?" The man showed off every detail with pride. "Surprised? Look at those beautiful curves. Doesn't it look like it could fly into the sky or race at incredible speed?" Eugenia's expression turned complicated. "This looks exactly like a rocket. Forget traveling. It looks like it'll launch straight into space." She turned to look at the man. Could this guy be another transmigrator? Otherwise, who would build a carriage shaped like a rocket? The man looked thoroughly proud. "I made it exactly like I saw it in my dream. And even now, I still think it looks cool." Eugenia's mouth twitched. "So it's just a coincidence?" Her anger flared. "You sound awfully proud. I thought it was going to be something impressive. I've never seen such an ugly carriage in my life. And you made something you saw in a dream." The man took a direct hit. He stared at Eugenia in disbelief. "Do you know how much money it took to make that? Is it really that bad?" Eugenia forced out a smile. "It's not completely terrible. It's just embarrassing to ride in." The man drooped in dejection. "I even decorated the interior with the best materials. I put so much thought into it." Eugenia felt a trace of guilt. Fine. She had a better idea. "Load the luggage onto that carriage." A servant confirmed. "Are you sure, my lady?" Eugenia nodded. "Yes." 30 minutes later, Euclid and Eugenia stood before everyone. Euclid said, "We're about to depart." The Duke solemnly told them, "I wish you a safe journey. Once you arrive, don't forget to send word." The two nodded. "Understood." The splendid carriage slowly departed from the Basler ducal mansion. The Duke watched it disappear. They really left. Alexis nodded. "Yes." The Tower Master spread his hands in confusion. They actually left in that old carriage. What a waste. A servant wearing a tall hat ran over. "Tower Master, you haven't left?" The Tower Master looked puzzled. "Why would I leave?" The servant pointed at the magnificent carriage. "Lord Euclid and the others left in the carriage you arrived in." The Tower Master was horrified. "Then the Mage Tower's income from last month," the servant said. "We put all the money in the carriage you came in." Eugenia shifted her position. "I feel like my butt is going to bruise from all this jolting. Is it just my imagination?" And looked at her. "My lady, are you uncomfortable?" Eugenia shook her head. "It's nothing. The price difference must be at least 2 or 3 times. But how could I let myself be humiliated by that kind of carriage? I should have told them to switch carriages. But when we were leaving, how was I supposed to know they'd get into that luxury carriage?" She frowned. "Forget it. The money isn't in that carriage anymore anyway. They can figure it out themselves. Even though we couldn't switch like Euclid did, at least we've left the capital." Step 1 of the plan was a success. It was too awkward the last time I saw the Crown Prince. I really don't want to see him again. I hope he goes home safely and doesn't come after us. Eugenia smiled faintly. "I finally did the impossible. I married my favorite character. We didn't get to kiss properly at the wedding, but now we could take things slowly. I thought I'd have a chance to clear up his misunderstanding and confirm my feelings." How arrogant that idea was. "From now on, I'll stay by his side and prove my sincerity through my actions." She leaned against the carriage window. At the time, I still didn't know whether those happy days ahead would continue. Meanwhile, in the Imperial Palace, Emperor Oven sat on the throne, his chin resting on his hand. "I see. They really got married." A subordinate stood in the center of the hall. "When I received the marriage registration papers, I thought some fool had submitted forged documents. Who would have imagined someone would do something so absurd to that young lady? But it all happened too suddenly. There had never been any rumors of her marriage." Emperor Oven murmured. "How could there have been no marriage proposals?" The subordinate replied, "She received many, but she had only been waiting for the crown prince's proposal. However, After His Highness proposed to Lady Melissa, they had no choice but to find another husband for her. The next day, the carriage moved through the snow. Delrano reported to Euclid, "Her Grace seems to have some kind of special ability." Euclid looked puzzled. "What?" Delrano continued. "From what I observed, she was born with extraordinary luck. Last night, when we stopped midway between the south and north, Her Grace helped someone. That person gave her a dazzling gold pocket watch. She also received 2 teddy bears, each one worth a fortune. Actually, I was shocked by the wedding vow. Her Grace swore that she would treasure you even more than her own life. I've never seen anyone make a vow like that at a wedding." Euclid folded his arms. "I am curious. Would she really do that?" The carriage wound through the northern mountains. Eugenia complained. "That stingy tower master must have done something. Besides the acceleration magic, I hope the gift wasn't damaged." And stuck her head out the carriage window, smiling brightly. "It seems we've arrived at the ducal territory." A magnificent white castle stood among the snowy mountains. Eugenia suddenly realized it. That place is where he and I will live together. She slowly stepped out of the carriage. The retainers stood in lines to welcome them. Eugenia looked over everyone. "So these are the people of Lydian. Their expressions don't look very good. Since a villainess like me married Euclid, they must be both shocked and angry. I can understand that." A silent confrontation followed. Hostility spread like black fog. Eugenia's eyes sharpened. "Wait, there are children too. Could those children be Euclid's nephews and nieces?" A cold wind howled. A grand estate stood beneath the snowy mountains. A black-haired man in a suit bowed. "Master, welcome back." Euclid swept his gaze over the crowd. "Yes, but I didn't expect everyone to gather like this." The black-haired man kept bowing. "My apologies for not informing you in advance." A gentle smile spread across Euclid's face. "Not all. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to celebrate my marriage." He moved to Eugenia's side. "My lady, did this frighten you?" Eugenia gave a slight start. "No." Euclid looked at her. "I had wanted to introduce you properly on a formal occasion, but my retainers seem impatient to meet the new mistress of the ducal estate." Eugenia's heart began to race. The mistress of the ducal estate. Even after hearing it all this way, the title still made her heart flutter. Euclid looked toward the 2 children. "Mariane, Dio, come greet your aunt." Eugenia thought the children might be afraid. "I need to approach them carefully." She slowly crouched down. "Children, hello." The 2 children stayed silent, hands folded in front of them, not saying a word. Euclid looked apologetic. "I am sorry. The children are rather shy. They rarely get the chance to meet outsiders." Eugenia replied gently. "That's all right. It's normal for children to be shy." She crouched down and introduced herself warmly. "You may not know my name yet. I am Eugenia. You can call me Aunt. Please take good care of me from now on." Dio suddenly shouted, "You're not our aunt. You're a witch." The shrill words echoed through the cold air. Eugenia froze where she was. Euclid's expression darkened. "Dio, is that any way to speak to your aunt?" He looked at Eugenia. "My lady, I'm truly sorry. The children are still too young." Eugenia softly cut him off. "Thank you." She bent down, a trace of amusement flashing through her eyes. "In the fairy tales I've read, witches are always astonishingly beautiful. So are you complimenting me on being pretty?" Dio covered his mouth with both hands and stammered, "Why, yes, you're very pretty." Eugenia smiled more deeply. "In that case, to reward your compliment." She took out a small glass bottle filled with purple candy. "I bought these on the way here. They look delicious." She pinched a piece of candy and held it before the 2 children. "Do you want to try one together?" She fed the candy to them both and asked with a smile, "How is it? It's good, right?" The 2 children chewed hard with puffed cheeks. Eugenia sighed inwardly. Children really are children. So cute. Euclid was stunned. Watching Eugenia get close to the children, his tense shoulders finally relaxed. He let out a breath of relief. A curly-haired woman's face darkened. The more Eugenia thought about it, the stranger it felt. She remembered the cry of alarm from earlier. It had definitely been a cry of shock and pain. She lay in the bathtub with steam rising all around her. "I think I know what's going on. Rather than worry alone, I should go see the children myself and figure out what's happening." And hurried in. "My lady, dinner's almost ready. I think you should go to the dining room now." Eugenia stood up. "I understand." Euclid stood beside the dining table. "Welcome, my lady." Eugenia looked over the long table. Her seat had been arranged all the way at the far end. "Wait, why is it set up like this?" A servant explained with a smile. "My lady, I'll lead you there. Considering that you may still feel awkward in front of Lady Marianne and young Master Dio, I arranged it this way. Eugenia thought, at this distance, I probably won't even be able to see Euclid's face clearly. She said, I'd like to move my seat forward. Since we'll be living together as a family from now on, sitting closer will help us get used to each other faster. The servants and the butler exchanged looks. Does she really want to get closer to the children? Euclid smiled faintly. Then, my lady, please sit here. Eugenia's heart warmed. As expected of my favorite character. How can he understand me so well? But she soon realized she was mistaken. At the center of the long table, Eugenia sat in the seat of honor, with the children split off on either side. The atmosphere was unbearably tense. She looked at the woman nearby. That woman has been looking at me with hostility ever since I got here. At first I thought she was the nanny, but the children are so wary of her. Clearly she isn't. Eugenia asked, Are you the young lady's and young master's nanny? What is your name? Euclid immediately corrected her. Mrs. Wills is not a nanny. Eugenia looked confused. Then who is she? Euclid explained. She is Marianne and Dio's aunt, Amy Wills. My sister-in-law's younger sister. She usually takes care of the children. Eugenia narrowed her eyes. I see. Her sister-in-law's sister stayed here to care for the children. This place isn't prosperous, so why would she come all the way here? Something is strange. She looked at Euclid. Mrs. Wills, taking care of your niece and nephew must be tiring. Does she come to the ducal house often, or does she live here? Euclid suddenly raised his voice. Absolutely not. I'm not so careless that I would let an unmarried lady stay overnight in the ducal house. Eugenia said, I was only asking casually. Was there really any need to react that strongly? In any case, she's the one standing behind the children. I need to be careful. She looked at Amy Wills. Mrs. Wills, are you coming tomorrow as well? Amy Wills froze. What? Eugenia stated calmly. I plan to take a proper tour of the ducal estate tomorrow morning, so it would be better if you came in the afternoon instead. She gave the order. You may leave. Amy stiffened all over. Lowering her head, she said yes. I understand. Her gaze turned cold, and her lips bit down hard. She turned away and left the dining room with a faint trace of contempt. Dio nervously gripped his fork. Aunt Amy said Annie is a bad person. I have to protect Uncle from her. Euclid looked at Dio. Dio, were you scared when I wasn't here? Dio's cheeks reddened a little. He answered softly, a little. Euclid's eyes softened. I am sorry. I was away for too long. Dio gathered his courage. Then grant me one wish. Euclid asked with interest. What do you want? Dio's voice was barely audible. Stay with me tonight. Marianne looked up. She smiled with innocent brightness. I heard the two of you are going to spend the night together tonight. Euclid stared at her in shock. He turned to Eugenia and laughed awkwardly. Haha, Marianne likes to joke. She doesn't mean anything by it. Please don't misunderstand. Eugenia's lips curved upward. She's not wrong. Before dinner, Marianne stared up at the mountain of gifts. Wow, where are all these? Did Annie give them all? She lowered her head, looking gloomy. Dio tugged at her sleeve. Sister, are you angry? Marianne crossed her arms. I told you not to listen to Amy. Dio lowered his head and tried to explain. But Amy said Annie is a really scary person. If you don't listen to her, she'll scold you. Marianne closed her eyes. I told you. I'll handle it. Dio rubbed his fingers together. But sister, Annie seems pretty nice, doesn't she? Marianne glanced at him. Yeah. Dio's face lit up immediately. You think so too, sister? Marianne said. See? I told you. Uncle would never marry a bad person. Amy slammed her hand down on the table. She shouted angrily. How annoying. Why is that woman nothing like the rumors? Her fake kindness and elegance make me sick. Her eyes turned cold. Is this all you two can do? Pretend to dislike her? Are you really planning to end up liking that strange woman? Marianne muttered softly. She doesn't seem like a bad person. Amy snorted disdainfully. Everyone knows that woman has a horrible personality, and you were fooled by just a few pieces of candy. Your father was practically sold to that woman's family. Don't you feel sorry for him at all? Marianne lowered her eyes. You're right. Amy crouched down, a calculating gleam flashing in her eyes. Don't the two of you want to protect your father? At the dinner table, Euclid nodded. Yes, thank you for understanding. Marianne continued. I heard Greston hasn't been opened in a long time. You two are going to sleep together in Grestin, right? Euclid confirmed, yes, that's right. Marion smiled mischievously. Then the two of you should enjoy yourselves. Don't worry about me and Dio. Eugenia asked in confusion. What kind of place is Grestin? Euclid answered, it's a master bedroom for the Duke and Duchess. Eugenia thought it over. In the north, do married couples have to use Grestin whenever they share a bed? Euclid nodded. In principle, yes. In a Ludian ducal house, due dates for sleeping together have to be arranged in advance. Eugenia looked at Euclid. You mean, our first night has to be spent in Grestin? Euclid answered, yes, that's correct. A faint blush spread across his cheeks. Eugenia picked up her fork and knife. Was I too direct? I hope Euclid doesn't think I'm strange. I was just genuinely curious. Come to think of it, this meal is impossible to enjoy. Her cheeks grew warm. Well, with Euclid's personality, nothing will happen anyway. In the bedroom, and stepped forward. My lady, do you need me to help you prepare? Eugenia lifted her eyes. Prepare what? And held up 2 nightgowns. Which one would you like to wear? Eugenia cried out, don't ask. I'll just wear the one I normally wear. We didn't even kiss at the wedding. It's only the first night. What would he possibly do? She took a deep breath. Fine, maybe that's for the best. I actually have something I want to talk to him about. It'll be a good chance once we're alone. A knock sounded at the door. A servant urged from outside. My lady, it's time to go to Grestin. Eugenia stood up. Her footsteps echoed through the empty corridor. I wasn't nervous when I left earlier, so why is my body so stiff now? Grestin is just ahead. Calm down. Nothing is going to happen anyway. Her trembling hand reached for the doorknob. Euclid was by the bed. He whipped around, startled. Eugenia stood in the doorway. What are you doing right now? Euclid was holding rose petals. It's a misunderstanding. I wasn't trying to scatter the petals. He waved his hands in flustered denial. I just thought the maids decorating the room like this might make you feel burdened. Eugenia suddenly understood. I see. And here I was, actually expecting something for a second. She looked around the room. The atmosphere here is really nice. It's almost a waste to use it only for sleeping together. Euclid looked at Eugenia. My lady, you don't need to worry. Although according to custom, we should spend the night together in Grestin, I have no intention of doing anything that would make you uncomfortable. Eugenia lowered her gaze. I understand what he means now. We'll consummate the marriage once our hearts are truly connected. In an equal and stable relationship, we'll build trust step by step. That's exactly what I want. He's so sweet, though it probably won't be that easy. She asked, are you very tired right now? Euclid shook his head slightly. I'm fine. Eugenia let out a relieved breath. That's good. There's something I want to say. She turned. Let's sit over there. Her foot slipped, and she suddenly fell backward. Euclid hurriedly caught her and pressed her down onto the bed. Eugenia's heart pounded wildly. His eyes, those golden eyes, were right in front of hers. Euclid immediately got up. In a quiet voice, he apologized. I'm sorry. Eugenia said, it was my fault. She screamed inwardly. That scared me to death. I thought my heart was going to explode. The two sat side by side on the edge of the bed. The atmosphere became painfully awkward. I need to get to the point quickly. Eugenia took a deep breath. Duke, I want to ask you something. Do you have someone you love? Euclid stiffened. Eugenia quickly cleared her throat. I'm just curious. I absolutely don't mean it as blame or an interrogation. Euclid's eyes flickered and his lips parted. Eugenia looked straight at him. I want to know whether marrying me forced you to break up with someone, or whether there is someone you've always kept hidden in your heart. If there is, please tell me honestly. I intend to be more loyal to this marriage than anyone. Euclid answered quietly. Is that so? His reaction made Eugenia's heart tighten. Could there really be someone? She probed further. Is it Miss Amy Wills? Euclid denied it at once. Of course not. His gaze was earnest. I don't know why you suddenly asked that, but I have never had feelings for anyone. My voice has been steady and clear until now. There never has been anyone, and there never will be. Eugenia tilted her head slightly. Since we're already married, you mean you won't like anyone else from now on, right? Euclid's gaze softened. Yes, if there is anyone in my heart, that person would naturally only be you, my lady. Eugenia's face flushed bright red in an instant. Her mind went completely blank. What is happening? Her heartbeat went out of control. What? What is going on? She suppressed the wild joy in her heart. This is a confession, isn't it? He's practically bewitching me. I seriously can't take this. She suddenly turned and untied the sash of her nightgown. Her clothes slipped loose. Euclid recoiled in shock. My lady, what are you doing? Eugenia looked up. I understand. So don't say anything else. Close your eyes. The next day, Eugenia woke up in bed, savoring the memory with complete satisfaction. That truly was a wonderful first night. Because yesterday, Euclid and I did absolutely nothing. Euclid and Eugenia sat side by side on the bed, an awkward distance between them. The atmosphere was frozen. Last night, I got so excited by Euclid's confession that I ended up seducing him without thinking. But then Euclid lay down and pulled up the blanket. "My lady, you should lie down too. You look very tired. No matter what, I won't touch you." Eugenia recalled it all. Even though nothing ended up happening, for me it was the best first night possible. She stared at Euclid's sleeping face. How can he look so perfect even while sleeping? That high-nose bridge, those long eyelashes. Am I really allowed to be this happy? Euclid's eyelashes trembled lightly. He seemed about to wake up. Eugenia immediately shut her eyes and pretended to sleep. Euclid opened his eyes. He looked at Eugenia lying beside him. In a hoarse whisper, he said, "My lady." Eugenia gave a sleepy response. She opened her eyes. "Duke." Euclid's cheeks were slightly red, and beads of sweat slid down from his temples. "You were sleeping deeply. Sorry for waking you." Eugenia rubbed her eyes. Euclid continued, "If you're tired, you can sleep a little longer." Eugenia sat up. "Today is the day we agreed to tour the castle. So I should get up too. Will you show me around the castle?" Euclid stood up. "I am sorry. I have a lot of work to deal with." He turned his back to Eugenia. "I'll send a servant over right away. Please wait a moment." Eugenia froze. She watched Euclid's departing back, her lips moving slightly. "This is our very first morning together. We could have stayed a little longer." His face was red, and he still hurried away, so he must really have something urgent to do. An older male servant bowed. "My lady, this is the library. It occupies most of the western side of the castle." Eugenia looked around. "It's really huge. At this scale, there must be information about the Ludian family, and the heads of the family through the generations." Eugenia turned to the servant. "May I come here any time?" The servant nodded. "Of course, Lady Marianne and young Master Dio. Come here often as well." Eugenia replied excitedly. "Thank you. Then I'm going to thoroughly investigate Euclid's ancestors." The servant suggested with a smile, "Would you like to go somewhere else? There is a collection of portraits of every head of the Ludian family, from the first generation to the current one." Eugenia's eyes lit up. "I can see a portrait of Euclid as a child." She leaned forward eagerly. "Of course I want to go." She cleared her throat. "Actually, let's continue tomorrow instead. If possible, I'd like to see it with Euclid." Eugenia asked the servant another question. "Also, is my office on the same floor as the Duke's?" The servant looked puzzled. Eugenia explained, "Isn't there accounting or household business for the mistress of the house to handle?" The servant finally understood. Yes, in the past, the household duties were mostly shared with the head of the house, but now they should rightfully be under your full responsibility. Eugenia's mouth twitched. Full responsibility from start to finish? Is he trying to shove everything onto me so he can slack off? Eugenia asked expressionlessly. "So where is the office?" The servant pointed toward the end of the corridor. "Just as you said, it is on the same floor as the head's office, at the very end of the corridor." Eugenia sighed. "That's too far. Too far from Euclid." She pointed to the wall lamps. "Come to think of it, are these lamps just decorations? I've never seen them lit." The servant replied, "They aren't decorations." Eugenia asked, "Then why don't you use them?" The servant explained, "Magic stones are too expensive. With the current budget of the ducal castle, we can't afford to use even one." Eugenia asked back, "Didn't a lot of magic stones get delivered, along with that magical carriage?" The servant's expression stiffened. He answered respectfully, "The gifts you sent have all been carefully stored with gratitude, my lady. But gifts are not counted as part of the castle's budget. And even if we did use them, considering the enormous debt we currently have, we likely still could not afford such expensive magic stones." Eugenia pressed him. "When will the debt be paid off?" The servant looked troubled. "I'm not entirely sure." Eugenia's heart sank. Something's wrong. The original aide clearly said the debt would be paid off immediately after the marriage. She gave an order. "Bring me the list of newly added assets at once, and the ledgers that confirm the remaining debt. I need to verify it myself." Delrano stepped forward. Looking at Euclid, he said, "Sorry to disturb you. You look tired. Did you perhaps not sleep well last night?" "I'm just worried. Her Grace didn't trouble you, did she?" Euclid said, "You're not married yet, so I understand your curiosity, but your question seems a little too private." Delrano hurriedly explained, "My lord, you know that's not what I meant." Euclid let out a faint laugh. You don't need to worry about whether my wife made things difficult for me. A rosy flush spread over his cheeks. He stroked his chin. Actually, I do find it a little difficult. Delrano suddenly stepped forward. I knew it. Even if she is the mistress of the residence, she can't treat you like that, Your Grace. I'll go file a formal protest right now. He turned and strode off. This is absolutely unacceptable. I'm going right now. The butler opened the door from outside. Your Grace, I have something to report. Delrano slammed headfirst into the door. Covering his reddened nose, he staggered back. The butler said excitedly, Your Grace, we have an honored guest. An honored guest has come to the Ludian ducal residence. He cried out, Good heavens. Delrano, what happened to your nose? Are you all right? He stepped forward. Now isn't the time for that. Her Grace wants the entire inventory of warehouse ledgers. I didn't see clearly what kind of person she was. All this time, I was too narrow-minded. Euclid raised a hand to stop him. Please calm down and explain slowly. Who wants to see the ledgers? The butler excitedly waved his arms. Of course, it's the new hope of the Lydian household, Lady Eugenia. He wiped away tears. Her Grace said she would use her dowry to repay all our debts. Delrano looked stunned. Really? But a dowry is the lady's personal property. The butler nodded. Exactly. He stroked his chin as he recalled it. I cast aside my shame and told her, on behalf of the entire ducal house, that our debt was astronomical. Delrano stared at the butler in shock. Did you really have to emphasize it like that? Euclid asked. And then what did she say? The butler sank into memory. She just gave a small laugh and then said this. Eugenia sat in a luxurious chair, resting her cheek on one hand, the corners of her eyes lifting slightly. Butler, don't you know who I am? The butler pressed a hand to his chest. I was overwhelmed by that presence. What crushing charisma. She said that no matter what, she would pay off the Ludian family's debts, and that we should trust her. Delrano said in disbelief, That can't be. Does she want us to pay her back later? Then wouldn't the interest be even higher? That's absurd. A stern voice cut him off. Advisor Delrano, how dare you say such nonsense? The head maid stood there with her hands on her hips, glaring at him. She was the head maid of the Ludian ducal residence, Adelia. Adelia walked in slowly. I came to bring tea to the master and ended up hearing everything. I never imagined her Grace would care so much about the ducal house. She scolded him. And yet you dare compare her Grace to a loan shark. The butler suddenly came to his senses. There's no time. Her Grace told me to report to His Grace immediately and bring the ledgers too. Euclid stood. Then where's the Duchess now? Eugenia in her office. She opened the window. Why is there so much dust? When he gave me the castle tour, he skipped only my office. I didn't expect this much dust to have piled up. Still, this was originally a room I never used, so there's not much to complain about. Why isn't the butler here yet? He just want to find Euclid. I thought he'd be back quickly. Footsteps approached from the distance. Eugenia showed a faint smile. Finally, they're here. Come. Euclid's voice came from outside the door. My lady. The butler looked full of regret. Good heavens. It's even dirtier than I imagined. If I'd known, I would have had it cleaned before bringing you here. Euclid lowered his head in apology. I am sorry. We're short on staff, so we haven't been able to clean the entire castle every day. Eugenia stayed expressionless. With no lady of the house here, that's to be expected. Euclid added, but from now on, we'll clean this room during the quarterly deep cleaning. Of course, the servants will handle the regular cleaning. Eugenia nodded. I agree. That's much more practical than cleaning every place all at once each time. But the house will age. If we're going to do it, we should do it thoroughly. I suggest cleaning every corner during the quarterly deep cleaning. The butler and Adelia wiped away tears and nodded repeatedly. After all, the debt will be paid off soon. Euclid turned to Eugenia. Actually, that's exactly why I came. I wanted to ask whether what you said about using your dowry to pay off the debt is true. Eugenia looked straight at him. Yes, it is. Euclid's eyes were earnest. Regarding that matter, please reconsider. Eugenia froze. What did you say? Why were the butler and Adelia behind him just as stunned? Euclid looked troubled. It's hard to explain. Eugenia turned her face slightly. Is it because of my reputation? Are you worried that if I repay your debts, it will damage the family's pride? Euclid denied it immediately. It's not like that. Eugenia sighed. Then what is it? Euclid lowered his eyes to the floor. All right, I'll tell you. He spoke softly. Because I feel that we're placing an additional burden on you. As Duchess, it seems like you're pushing yourself too hard. Eugenia looked at him in shock. Duke. She stared at Euclid. I'm not the one being burdened here. She struggled inwardly. I don't want to be harsh to my favorite person, but I think we need to face reality. He was being so stubborn that my tone came out sharper than I intended. His body stiffened. Damn, did I push too hard? Euclid said, I understand what you mean. Then he offered a solution. Then let's do this. Lend us the money. I'll repay you every month. Eugenia stared. What? Euclid looked directly at her. Even between husband and wife, accounts should be kept clear. Eugenia replied firmly, I don't want that. If it becomes that way, then using my dowry to repay the debt would become a chain, a line used to separate us if our relationship ever broke apart. She couldn't bring herself to say the words, if we divorce. Euclid refused flatly. Absolutely not. Eugenia said, as a member of the Ludian family, I cannot stand by while the family is burdened by debt. My decision is final. If you insist on refusing, then you are disrespecting me as your wife. That would mean you are breaking the vow you made at the wedding, the promise to respect me for the rest of your life. Euclid's pupils contracted. A drop of cold sweat slid down. All right, but I never meant anything like that. Eugenia rejoiced inwardly. I won this battle. Then she suddenly realized that the old butler and Adelia were pretending not to see anything. Damn it, I forgot the servants were still here. The old butler cleared his throat. This much dust is bad for one's health. Let's continue the conversation outside. Adelia hurriedly chimed in. Yes, I'm worried about the Duke's and Duchess's health as well. We'll clean this place. Please continue your discussion outside. Eugenia turned around. Then let's go. Delrano ran up to Eugenia. My lady, I have something to tell you. He dropped to both knees, his voice trembling. You are the honored lady of the house of Duke Ludian. You are the embodiment of new hope. Startled, Eugenia took a step back. Why is he suddenly acting like this?